And over here we have the incredibly rare, lesser spotted black cat. He's looking this way, enjoying the sunshine in his natural habitat. And we'll just leave that black cat there for now because it's time for another English lesson. And I hope you've been enjoying this week's learning where we've been thinking about Dougal's Deep Sea Diary. It's a really great book and I've enjoyed reading it. And I enjoyed looking at your maps and your instructions to Atlantis. Those are really good fun. So thank you for those, guys. Now today, I thought we could have a look at another deep sea explorer, but this time it's not Dougal. And it got me thinking, what about a real life Dougal? Somebody who did the amazing things that Dougal has done, but in real life. And I thought of this chap. His name is Jacques Cousteau. And Jacques Cousteau was a very famous undersea explorer. And we're going to think a little bit about the work that Jacques did today. He was a very famous ocean explorer, scuba diver, and conservationist. That means somebody who tries to look after wildlife and encourage us to protect our natural environments and our wildlife. So he was a big champion of the seas and the oceans and trying to prevent them becoming damaged and polluted. And he even invented the aqualung, which is this thing here, and allows divers to breathe whilst under the water. He even invented this along with a friend of his. So he was a very committed diver and explorer, so much so that he invented new ways for people to explore under the seas and for people to be able to do that more easily. He was a very clever chap. And to learn a little bit more about Jacques Cousteau, I thought that you could enjoy a little story. And there's a link to this story here, and I'm going to share you where you can find that. This is the video that you can find on YouTube. It's called The Fantastic Undersea Life of Jacques Cousteau. If you search for that, you'll find it there, or you can enter the YouTube link that I've put there below. If you want to copy that down into your browser, why don't you pause the video now and you can copy that down and watch the video. When you've watched the video, which I hope you enjoy because it's a really interesting, true story all about Jacques' life, then come back to me and I'll explain what we're going to do next. So please do enjoy watching this video, and I hope that you will learn a lot about Jacques' life. Okay, do that now. See you soon. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching that video about Jacques Cousteau. Very informative. It's a great book. Unfortunately, I didn't have a copy to read to you, but luckily a very helpful person has read it on YouTube for us. So thank you very much to that person. And thank you to Dan Iacarino for writing that wonderful book about Jacques. Now, one of the brilliant things about Jacques was he was so committed to undersea exploration and to teaching the world about the beautiful creatures and life that you could find in the ocean that he invented or used many incredible gadgets and equipment throughout his career. And as we mentioned, he invented this here, the aqualung, is one of his inventions. Before that, divers used to have to go down in big, heavy metal suits that were pumped full of air so that people could breathe under the water. It was very difficult to move under there. They always looked like massive knights under the sea. Not very easy to explore in those kind of things. So he invented something that would allow people to swim and move about under the water and still breathe. The aqualung. Incredible thing to invent. Very clever. He also pioneered the use of underwater radio. That's not so that he could listen to Drake or something like that under the sea. It's so that he could communicate with his other team members and they could talk to each other while they were under the water. You can see this old picture of him here communicating with his, we'll talk about this in a minute, this research submarine. So he's able to talk to the people that are in there and the people that are on the boat while he's under the water. And here is that research submarine. There is Jacques climbing inside. He called it the diving saucer.
That was one of his cool equipments and gadgets that he invented that we read about in the story as well. And he used that to drive around and explore under the water. He was a pioneer in the use of shark cage. That was another one of his clever ideas, so that he could be protected from more dangerous undersea creatures while still filming them and getting to know about their behavior and sharing that behavior with the rest of the world. Now, of course, we know that sharks can be dangerous, but I don't want you to go away thinking that all sharks are very dangerous, very deadly creatures, because even the biggest sharks, most of the time, are not interested in human beings. They've got other things that they enjoy eating. And sharks don't really account for that much damage to human beings around the world. There's only few species that are actually dangerous to humans. Most are not dangerous at all. Some are, but of course, most of the time they only bite because they're testing to see if somebody is tasty, if something is tasty for them to eat. And then usually they think, oh no, I don't like the taste of humans, and they swim away. But it's very rare that that ever happens. But of course, if you are going swimming with sharks, you do need to be protected. So Jacques realized that and used a shark cage so he could get in the water, get very close to them, and teach people about sharks and their behavior. So hopefully people would learn that actually sharks aren't as scary and as bad as some people seem to think they are. In fact, they're one of my favorite animals. I think they're incredible. This is quite cool as well. I like this photo. Can you work out what they're doing with that pretend hippo? What do you think they might be doing? You'll whisper it, see if I can hear you. Yes, he's using it as camouflage so that it can get close to the hippos, which are dangerous animals. And they would think that's an ordinary hippo, but really it's people in disguise, so they can get closer and they can film them, and then they can teach people around the world about these animals. So that was a clever invention, or a clever use of a gadget there, camouflage. And this is his boat, the Calypso, which is quite an incredible ship. That ship could, there were lots of things on board that could help him do his job. It was equipped with a helipad so that they could fly helicopters around the place. It had cranes on board so it could lift up his submarines and shark cages and plop them in the water. There was space for his lab work, and he could use it as a film set on board too. So it was quite an incredible ship, very, very useful. And of course, get him all around the oceans, because without a ship, it's very hard to get places on the sea, isn't it? Those are just a flavour of some of the amazing gadgets and inventions that Jacques Cousteau used throughout his career, and I'm sure you learned more about those by listening to the story that was read to you earlier as well. Well, here's what I'd like us to do today. Now that we know a bit about Jacques and a bit about his amazing creations, gadgets, and equipment, I thought you could have a go at answering these questions for me. So, if you've got an exercise book that you're going to write in, brilliant. If you've got a piece of paper that you're going to write on, brilliant. If you want to type your answers, brilliant. I don't mind how you do it, but can you have a go at answering these three questions? And then there's a little extra bit for the fourth one. So I'll read these questions out to you, and then you can go away and think about your answers. Number one, what do you think was Jacques' best invention or gadget? Why? There's no right or wrong answer there. It's up to you. What do you think was his best invention or gadget? And it says why. So it's very important that you use the word because. Big elephants can add up sums easily to explain your answer. Number two, do you think the work Jacques did was important? Why? So, what the work that he did, exposing people to the wonderful sea life that you can find in our oceans, why was that important? What do you think? Again, make sure you use that word because to explain your thoughts. Number three, Jacques Cousteau made many films about ocean life. What sea animal would you like to make a film about? What equipment would you use, and how might you use it? That's a question. There's a lot of parts to that, lots to think about. So you can think about which creatures you would like to film, why you would like to film those, so explain why you would like to film those, explain what equipment you would use and how you would use it. I'll be really interested to find out your ideas about that. Got to be a problem solver. I'll be interested to find out what you say. And finally, for the fourth question, well, it's not really a question, it's a fourth thing you can do. I'm sure you've got lots of your own questions about Jacques Cousteau, and the work he did. So I've said there, write your questions down and see if your teacher can answer them for you. But for that, if you're writing questions, it's very important that you use ha, the question marks. Very important indeed. So don't forget your question marks at the end of your questions. And of course, every sentence needs to start with a capital letter. Every sentence needs to be punctuated correctly, question marks or full stops, depending on the nature of the sentence. And that word because is going to be very important in these answers. So make sure you're spelling that word correctly. If you've got a pen, a colour pen like we have our purple pens at school, then you can go back and correct any little mistakes that you've made as you do your work, can't you? I'm really looking forward to seeing your answers to these questions. And even more than that, I'm looking forward to seeing what questions you come up with, because I would like to find out more about Jacques, and it will get me researching to see if I can answer your questions too. I hope you've had fun this week learning about these incredible undersea explorers, our fictional one in Dougal and our non-fiction one in Jacques Cousteau. And I think Mr. Davis might have a little challenge for you tomorrow, all about what we've been learning this week. But for now, I'll say bye-bye. Looking forward to seeing what you do. And see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.